My girlfriend called it embarrassing when I spoke multiple languages until clients said he actually understands us. She suddenly valued my skills. My girlfriend dragged me to her company's international client dinner at some upscale steakhouse downtown, where the appetizers cost more than my monthly subway pass. She worked at this high-end consulting firm and spent the whole ride there lecturing me about not embarrassing her in front of the Japanese executives and German investors they were courting for some massive merger that would make or break her career this quarter. The second we walked in, she plastered on this fake smile and started introducing me to her coworkers as her boyfriend who works in technical support, which was her way of making my translator certification sound like I fix printers for a living. She actually told her boss right in front of me that I was between real jobs at the moment, even though I'd been successfully freelancing for 3 years and made more than her last quarter, but whatever. When the international clients arrived, she immediately abandoned me at the bar and rushed over to them laughing way too loud at everything they said in broken English while touching the Japanese executive's arm, which anyone who knows anything about Japanese business culture knows is incredibly inappropriate. I was nursing my whiskey when Mr. Yamaguchi approached the bar and ordered in English with that careful pronunciation that told me he was struggling. So I asked in perfect Japanese if he'd prefer sake or shochu, and his entire face transformed with relief. We talked for 20 minutes about his daughter studying at music school and how different New York is from Tokyo, while my girlfriend kept glancing over with this confused expression like she couldn't understand why he wasn't joining her circle of ass-kissers anymore. Then one of the German executives overheard me and almost knocked over his beer when I switched to discussing soccer in flawless German, and suddenly I had 3 Germans roaring with laughter about my impression of their CEO's accent. The French delegation joined us when they heard me explaining to the bartender in French that Mr. Yamaguchi couldn't have shellfish, and before I knew it, I was essentially running my own United Nations summit at the bar, while my girlfriend's carefully planned schmoozing circle dissolved completely. The Italian woman asked me how I knew so many languages, and I explained my mother was Brazilian and my father was a military brat who dragged us through 12 countries growing up, so I just absorbed everything, which launched us into Portuguese while her husband chimed in with Italian, and I kept up with both simultaneously. My girlfriend appeared at my elbow suddenly with this bright, desperate smile, asking what we were all laughing about, but nobody switched to English for her, and the German executive actually turned his back on her mid-sentence to ask me about my thoughts on the Berlin tech scene in German. She kept trying to insert herself by laughing when everyone else laughed, even though she had no idea what was being said, and grabbed my arm possessively when the Italian woman mentioned how refreshing it was to meet someone who understood cultural nuances instead of just memorizing phrases from language apps. The Japanese team started discussing their concerns about the merger entirely in Japanese, apparently forgetting anyone from the company was even there, and I mentioned casually that their fears about IP theft were valid, given what my girlfriend's boss had said earlier about aggressive expansion, and Mr. Yamaguchi went completely silent, staring at me. "Your girlfriend's boss said what, exactly?" he asked in English loud enough for everyone to hear, and I translated the entire conversation I'd overheard in the bathroom, where her boss was bragging about how they'd lowball the Japanese on the technology transfer once signatures were locked in. The entire table went silent, and my girlfriend's face drained of color as the lead German executive demanded to know if this was true, and the French team started packing up their briefcases saying they don't do business with companies that negotiate in bad faith. My girlfriend tried to do damage control, saying I must have misunderstood, but Mr. Yamaguchi asked her point blank if she thought he was stupid enough to fall for that when her boyfriend clearly speaks better Japanese than their own interpreters. Her boss came over to see what the commotion was about, and the German team started laying into him in English about trust and transparency, while my girlfriend kept shooting me these venomous looks like this was somehow my fault for understanding what people say when they assume nobody can understand them. The dinner ended with both international teams walking out and refusing to sign anything, while my girlfriend's boss turned to me and asked if I'd be interested in heading their new international relations division since I'd just saved them from a lawsuit, even if the deal fell through, and my girlfriend actually laughed, saying I wasn't qualified just because I spoke a few languages. Mr. Yamaguchi turned to her and said in perfect English that she was everything wrong with American business culture and that my language skills were worth more than her MBA because at least I understood that communication isn't just about words but about respect. And then he handed me his business card saying his company needed a liaison they could trust if I was interested in relocating to Tokyo.